What is going on, Replo fam? It's your boy Sanjay Jenkins, growth guy, your salesperson, the guy that's like on all the videos that tells you how to use landing pages to grow your Shopify store. And I'm here with my boy Jeff from Daydreamers Design Studio, and we've got something fun. We're doing another CRO teardown, but now we have the beautiful mind of Jeff, who is one of our top agency partners. The stuff that he builds is insane, highly converting, and just frankly very beautiful stuff. And I'm really excited to have him do one of these CRO teardowns with me. Jeff, welcome,
What's
brother.
up?
It's so
What's
good
up,
to do one of these with you. How are you, man?
Hell yeah, dude. I'm super happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on. I'm pumped to at least share some value, some knowledge, just to tear some stuff down. Let's get it, dude.
Tell the people a little bit about like Daydreamers and the stuff that you do there before we get super into it.
Yeah, so the short story is just we help e-com brands from startups to 6, 7, 8-figure brands, helping them with their page builds. So we help them with the design, copy, and the actual builds. We build primarily in Replo, and we're just like a dedicated landing page partner for a bunch of brands, helping them with the page build strategy, and then helping them test a bunch of more stuff just to help them perform better, scale, and make more money, essentially.
Dude, one of the cool things. So there are a lot of really cool things about Jeff and his team and the quality of their work. They're very efficient. Like it's not like they're like dragging their feet and it's taking months to like build something. They're very quick. The quality of their work is incredibly powerful. Like we, trust the biggest brands that come to us, and whenever we make a recommendation, we always want to make sure that we're recommending them like the best of the best. And we send so much work to Jeff because we know he's always going to come through. And the third thing that I'll call out that I think is really, really fascinating, and I just saw this on Twitter, which is why I'm like bringing it up. It's like not only do you do individual landing pages, but you also like redesign entire like websites and build them in Replo. Like I think you did one for like a pre-workout or like a sleep supplement just now. Yeah, and so it looks so good, dude.
Yep. Yeah, so we did one for pre-sleep. It's from my friend Dylan, who's on Twitter also. He runs like a sleep supplement brand, like just like a melatonin substitute. Because I know that a lot of people want to get off melatonin because just being like a habit-forming type thing instead of being reliant on it. But anyways, so we help brands, and this is typically for like more brands who are like in the startup phase who want to get away from the themes, and we leverage the power of Replo of just being able to build solid pages, having a lot of flexibility with just the freedom to build solid sections. So we've been able to build really solid home pages as well as product pages, and just helping brands build more powerful, higher converting storefronts in general. And so, it's been super cool just with the power of Replo. And yeah, dude.
It makes me really happy to see, people aren't just building stuff on themes. Like
themes, yeah.
They're building everything in Replo, and it's really nice.
I personally hate it. Yeah.
Like you personally hate building on themes?
Themes, yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I was having my own brands, of just during like my dropshipping phases or like my times then, of just feeling like we needed a certain section or like certain things to be communicated, and like obviously a lot of themes are super limited to how the developers built it, and it was just so restrictive. It just felt like we just couldn't get what we wanted to put out there,
Dude, when I took over Buff City Soap, I basically rebuilt their entire website using a theme in like a night. Like I found some friends that were selling plants. It was rooted.nyc, and I like went into like view page source, and you do like what theme.shopify, and I figured out what theme they were using at the time. They hadn't renamed it from like whatever they bought the same theme, used it, and then right after I rebuilt it in Shopify, like I put it out on Twitter. I was like, yo, like we'd love to get feedback on it. And people gave me so much really great feedback, and I couldn't implement 90% of it because the theme just wouldn't let you do it. And we were still able to make it like work. We were still pretty successful, but like I just think about how much more money we would have been able to make had I been able to actually control more of the sections. And fast forward 4 years, we have Replo. Life is so much better.
Life is good now. Huh?
Life is good now, dude. All right, but like let's kind of transition into what we're talking into today. So we're doing a CRO teardown. Something that if you've watched previous Replo videos, you've seen me do before. If not, basically the premise is we're going to look at a website, we're going to look at what they're doing well. From a design and a conversion optimization perspective, we're going to look at what the areas of opportunities are. Jeff is going to impart his wisdom. I'm going to start dropping in, nuggets from mine, having, run ecom brands as well. And obviously working at Replo, seeing thousands and thousands of landing pages and companies just about every single week. So we're going to go through their homepage, we're going to go through their product page, and then we're going to go to their Facebook ad library and then pick out like a landing page that they're driving traffic to figure out like what they're doing well again and what we can improve upon. So the purpose of this is really just to educate you on how we think about conversion rate optimization, how we think about performant design. So when we say performance, basically like, does this design that look good and also help you make more money? And then, probably sprinkle in some nuggets on how you can probably use Replo to, pull some things off. So that is the spirit of this conversation. And the brand that we're going to go through today is Qure Skincare. It's Qure Skincare. Jeff, do you have that pulled up? You want to share screen? We'll jump into it. So I actually talked to the founder a few weeks ago. Fabulous lady, and they've been rocking and rolling. They've been growing pretty effectively. But she was ready to start using landing pages. So I'm really excited to do this. Send this to her afterwards. But walk us through this homepage really fast. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you think, and then I'll drop in some of my thoughts too.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I start, I'm sure you guys probably have heard already, my dog is going to be barking at random times just based on what she hears, so I apologize for that. But
oh man, it's okay.
Yes.
Jeff and I were talking about how one of my cats opens up doors in the cabinets, so we just have random pet noises happening. You're gonna have to deal with it.
Cool. So let's get right into the homepage. Starting with the hero section, as always, standard practice or knowledge that this is the most important section of any page, just because this is the one section that 100% of your visitors are going to see. So what I like about this, kind of getting right into it, is how clear the headline is and how relevant the image is. I think those two are in my opinion, the most important aspects of a solid hero section, of being absolutely clear on what you're trying to communicate from the headline point of view, as well as the imagery. Of course, showing people with the product in use and just showing smiling, happy people, because people buy from people, so you want to really showcase that and communicate that with that. So, it's kind of going through the actual headline itself. That was right there. Get clinic level results from home minus the clinical cost, right? So I'm sure a lot of their visitors are coming from the ads that they're running or from their socials, so they're already kind of aware of what they're kind of selling or communicating, right? So they're being more specific on what it is that they're talking about, right? Like the actual value proposition, the actual end result that these women are looking for, which is to get high quality spa type clinic results from the comfort of the home, while not having to pay that premium price of it. So just being able to do it from home without that high cost. And then, of course, they have quick social proof there. 50,000 customers feel more confident in their own skin. So it's not even just a typical 50,000 happy customers. They add another layer of the actual value prop of what they're communicating, of feeling confident in their own skin, because that is the ultimate goal of what these shoppers, these customers are looking for. I'm going
to add a couple things.
Yeah.
So right below the fold, there's the scroll quotes. The multi-use LED mask with 5 different light setting options to plump, smooth, and rejuvenate all skin types. That specific line, that bar, is what I would actually add as a subhead to the clinic results without the clinic costs. And the only reason is even if you set all the context in an ad, you drive traffic to the homepage. If someone does just stumble onto the homepage, it's not always immediately obvious in my mind, that people know exactly what you're selling. So having that really powerful headline, I think is killer. Obviously the social proof with the 50,000 plus customers feel more confident in their skin, but just outlining yo, this is what it is. And what, and I recognize that like they've got the mask, the face mask, and then also like the neckline. I think it's called the décolletage, like this chest area. I like used to run ads for a skincare company, and they had like a product specifically for the décolletage area, and that's the only reason why I know that word. But yeah, it was a wild time, dude. It was a crazy thing that I was doing. We were spending like $100,000 a month, which for some people is a lot of people it really isn't. But I just had to spend a lot of time looking at. I was like, man, there's a lot of interesting photos on my computer. If anyone else like saw this, it'd be kind of strange. Anyway, but like I think adding that extra layer of like context is always like really key. So that's like the only thing that I would adjust. It's like take that again. That quote is like pretty baller. Like you just copy that, pop that in the subhead, and then you've got probably like probably the most effective version of the hero section. But to your point, I do think that they are starting at a really great spot. It's really strong.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap that point home, I completely agree with you of just being more specific, right? Just having no confusion as to like what they're selling. Just being like, yo, this mask does everything that we're saying, but it's kind of being more specific on the exact thing that they're trying to communicate, right? So we can keep rolling here.
Yeah, let's keep scrolling.
Down here, after they have those quotes from those great magazines, we have dermatologist approved and science backed, right? Backed by the most respected peer-reviewed dermatologist journals and scientific studies that prove Qure Skincare works. Right. So the whole point of this again is to establish some credibility while leveraging these. I'm assuming well-known journals. I'm not a dermatologist or know anything about this, but I'm assuming, or even just having journals and the logos of that just adds to just the credibility and just it instills that social proof, right? I'm even sure, and this is just me just assuming, but a lot of people shopping, these women shopping here, probably don't know these journals as well, but even just seeing that, it just elevates the credibility or just how substantial the brand is, and it's almost just like a flex,
It is, yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is like if they had a video, like a TikTok, for example, of a dermatologist. Like I was looking at a brand yesterday that they had a TikTok from a dermatologist that had like 3 million followers or something. And
that's fire.
And then like dermatologists, but also 3 million followers, like that's a ton of social cred and the science cred because they're board certified dermatologists or whatever. Like I think adding something like that to this section would add to an extra, like give it another extra layer of like the flex, the validation, making sure that anyone who's coming to check this out, like their fear of like, yo, is this going to work for me or is this safe or whatever? Like, hey, like, everyone's, for devices of any type like this, like your mileage may vary. I think that's just do what works, check with your dermatologist, check with your own doctor. But like, we have people who are doing a lot of these testing, and for a lot of people it works. So I think it's like that's what I would add to this section. But
absolutely,
this is great. I'm glad that they have this content at all, especially the logos on that first version of that site, I guess.
Yeah, to add to your point, even kind of going through the other tabs of like this safe and easy to use devices and saving time and money and being able to treat multiple skin care, something that I think could be worth adding as well is just like quick little like customer quotes or just testimonials, just kind of just to like reinforce that. Even to your point there, adding videos to take a quick quote from the actual journal or the dermatologist within those studies or those journals, just to kind of reinforce that. And I think from here as well of just not only having the headline of save you time and money, because of course that is essentially what they're looking for, just doubling down on that and having a customer like someone from the past kind of talking about, hey, like this was my problem before of being busy with kids, and then kind of being like, yo, like this was my solution to help me solve that, right? To kind of make it more relevant to the people who are going to be shopping.
Yep.
On the page. Hell
So you
yeah.
get the cure, reclaim your confidence in any age. Okay, look, I like this. Like, benefit statements are like solution specific. I'm sure they go, do. They go, can you just hover over to see where they go? Like, I'm willing to bet that they all go to the same page. Okay,
Lines
it's a
and
collection
wrinkles.
page.
It's
Oh no,
gonna
they have actually.
so like they have dedicated collection pages for the specific problem that they're solving for. So
Nice.
there's actually a section that I actually like a lot. In my opinion, this is one of my favorite sections from this entire homepage. Because of course, a lot of brands have the typical collections, the category sections there, but they just have a headline of like, for example, if you're selling T-shirts, it's like shop T-shirts and everything, right? But like being able to kind of go deeper and really communicate the problems, the specific problems that you're solving for, and it's being more specific there. It just builds that rapport, that connection of when a shopper is shopping, they can resonate with either one of these problems that they have, move further down, and then, for example, like this is something that I've dealt with for so long of acne and shit, right? And just being like, yo, this is something I deal with, kind of going through, and then seeing all the different products within that category. So I think this section is great.
And what's cool, like if we click through each one of those, it seems like the things that are sold. There's the Q Rejuvelite Pro face wear, then there's the micro infusion stuff. It for most of these collection pages, it's like the same product, and there's like one or two things that are unique to each of the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's that word décolletage. I don't know if you saw it. It was on that last. It's the D word.
Before?
I saw it. Yeah, in the last collection that you were looking at. If you scroll down a little further,
Here.
a little bit more, a little bit more.
Right
There it is.
here.
Décolletage. Your boy knows
Nice.
stuff about
Nice.
women's skincare.
It's crazy because if I ever saw my girl wearing this, I would just not be able to take her seriously.
Oh, dude.
see her,
Immediate
see her
bounce,
watching
bro.
Netflix.
Yeah, dude, I am roasting the ever living daylights out of you.
That's so funny.
I have a buddy who's he's like he lives in New York, and he's like really big in skincare. His entire he's an influencer or a content creator, as he likes to be referred to. And he like whenever he visits us, I mean, he uses it in his daily like regular life, but like he has one of these.
Yes,
and we were literally like watching a movie one night in our living room, and I look over and I see him, and his like face is like glowing red, and I'm like, holy, like what is going on, bro? Like get out of here, get back to New York, man. We don't do that in Dallas.
Yeah, I would just be ripping him the whole time. I would not be able to watch the movie or even pay attention. I'd be like, yo,
No.
you gotta
No, dude.
turn that down a little bit.
But at the same time, he is a few years older than me, but he looks like he's 10 years younger than all of us.
He looked good.
And so, like,
you know what? Yeah. So you can't really, you can't really knock it then at that point, right?
yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
it works. Like it's clearly doing something. Like, I look like I'm 55 to some people, apparently.
I mean, that's just to your point. This is the last point that I'll make, but that's actually something that I don't have to really be concerned about too much as of late, because I look like I'm fucking like 20 years old.
I am jealous of it, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little upset that I don't look like you.
All right, moving on to the.
Yeah, I forgot.
Bestsellers.
This is a conversion rate optimization show. This isn't just two boys glazing each other about how young they look.
Face masks and decolletages.
That's right.
All right, cool. So the four bestsellers. This is another section that I highly recommend a lot of brands have on their site. And it doesn't have to be specific. As far as the design goes, like, in my opinion, that's kind of irrelevant for this. But even just labeling bestsellers, I'm not sure if there's like a psychological thing, but when people see a product being labeled as like a bestseller, it kind of has that inherent social proof there of just knowing that other people have bought that product a lot before, and just kind of being like, this product is our most popular, like is our bestseller. So it kind of helps people to kind of get into that mind of like, okay, this is what people like me are kind of leaning to get. But one thing
I'll build on that really quickly.
Go on, yeah.
So I'll tell you a fun little story. So when I ran Buff City Soap's e-commerce store, there was a bar of soap that I really love. It was my favorite soap. It was called Spa Day. And they were thinking about phasing it out. They're like, it was a seasonal scent. They're like, we're going to get rid of it, but if it sells really well online, like we'll keep it. Or if it sells really well across the system, and they would add up the online and the in-store sales. And so, because I personally really loved the soap, and I didn't want it to go away, I actually, right below the hero section, I said, this is our #1 best-selling soap right now. And sure enough, like sale, and it wasn't really, but like I said it was, and it like just became the #1 seller. And so, the psychology of just saying, hey, this is our #1 seller, it actually does prompt people into like leaning into that. So if you're trying to like move units of a product, obviously make sure it's a good product, but like you can, like you'd be surprised at how even just adding that little pill that says bestseller to the top will actually significantly influence like sales velocity on a product. I'll let you get back to it, but I thought it was like a fun little anecdote for there.
100%. I was just gonna say, the one thing I would add would be similar to how in the collection page they communicate the specific the problems that the product is solving, or just at least including just like maybe just like a quick line, just being descriptive of what the product does. Because in my opinion, just browsing through their collection page before, it seemed like they do have a bunch of products. So kind of be more specific with what that product does, just to kind of help almost like pre-educate them before clicking on it. Again, just to make the whole buying process a little easier, where the more specific you are with what that product does, the more it'll resonate with what that person is looking for. And then they can click on that, at least have more context going into it, where they will be more convinced when they get to the product page.
It's, like, especially for a product that has like technical names, like the Qure Rejuvelite Pro Face Wear, or the Micro Infusion Facial System, like that's cool that that's what you named it. And I'm sure there's like some level of like people do remember that, like the Qure Rejuvelite. Rejuvelite's like a sick name, actually. It's kind of cool. But like, what does it do? Why do I need that? Like, and having that like one little benefit statement of like, this light will do X, or this is like the foundational tool you need to get this, or like the infusion facial system, like this is like the starter kit for like better skin, whatever it is, like just give people the clear benefit. And I think this goes back to when we were talking about the headline. The clearer you are on what you are selling and the benefit of the customer, the more direct you can be sometimes, the better, because you reduce like the cognitive load. Like you don't have to make people think about like, what am I actually getting here? Like what's the point of all this? And you can start to like kind of get them excited on like the end stage or the transformation that they can experience. That's the magic. So I think Jeff's point, it's very small, it's a very little thing that you can add, but it has a huge impact. So yeah, great call out, dude.
All about reducing that cognitive load. That's
right, man. Let's we can keep going through this. I think it'd be best just from a time perspective if we actually jump into let's go to their like product page. Let's do a product page review. And, like, let's do it. Then we can like.
So I think this is one of their best sellers, the mask here.
Nice. Okay.
All right.
They're doing a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff. So the one, just immediately we'll start from the left and move to the right. But the one thing that I do like is instead of having a typical mask, because I think the name of this product is that Qure Rejuvelite Light. And to your point before of it sounds cool, but it doesn't really communicate anything, right? So being more specific there of replacing that with like an actual headline that actually communicates what the product does and is super simple and straightforward. Repair and rejuvenate your skin, right? It's essentially what these women are looking for, and it's get that with our light therapy mask. So being hyper specific on that and actually providing more context and more information by having a solid headline. And even before that, they have, of course, the customer reviews that is linkable. You can see that if I do click it, it'll go down to the customer reviews. They have the two options when it comes to colors, and of course, right after that, they have 3 solid bullet points, really focus on again the main value prop of the product, FDA cleared device that treats acne, fine lines, wrinkles, dark spots. Again, that's what they're looking for. Customizable treatment, specific for your skin concerns, as well as it only takes 3 minutes to use, and it's super convenient and hands-free, right? So communicating what it does and how easy it is the biggest communication points of this top fold buy box. And is it, again, when it comes to the people watching for your brand, you got to make it as relevant and kind of just knowing exactly what your customers deem important and like what they're looking for, and then just reverse engineer that and present it as clearly as possible.
I will say, this is like a masterclass of a product page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you're especially for something that as like technical as this product is, because like in the grand scheme of things, most people are not familiar with an infrared like mask, and maybe the it's not infrared, maybe it's some other light, and I just got it wrong. But like this is, they've got social proof with the ratings up top, a headline that isn't just, it's not just the Qure Rejuva light, right, which is what everybody else does. Mm-hmm. They've got they actually say the benefit statement of the product in their like title. In the image that they show, they have the before and after, which is like real value prop. They've got the bullet points that answer like a lot of the FAQs. They've got risk reversal with the payment, split payments with Klarna, Sezzle, or Afterpay. They've got social or trust badges from the dermatologist review and the free shipping over 100. I guess that's the kind of a bonus. They've got add-ons like AOV boosters with the Elevate Your Routine with these, like that are like directly in the above the fold. This is one of the most optimized above the folds I've seen in a very, very long time. Like this is really impressive.
Absolutely. And even kind of showing the mobile real quick, because I forgot to do that, is showing all that imagery top fold. So even kind of restructuring the page, instead of having the typical headline up top and then the actual bio box, they really focused and emphasized the before and afters, because this is the opening page, right? They're showing four solid before and afters that are exactly within the ICP, right? Because the women shown here are exactly the type of women that this brand is targeting, right? It has information on the product, of showing the actual product, being clear there, and then also driving a lot of social proof of showing 2 dermatologists, 2 doctors that are obviously going to be talking about the product and how great it is. So I think this is a flawless product page. And for the brands that are watching, again, this is something that it's easily doable for your guys' brand, just being more specific on the actual value proposition, of being more specific when it comes to the copy, the communication, but then also from a visual standpoint of just, and again, it's not going to be relevant for all brands, specifically for the before and afters, but even just showing really solid, engaging imagery that communicate the end result or the actual solution that your customers are looking for. So again, it doesn't have to be before and afters, but just really engaging imagery. It could be images from your customers. It could be videos from like people who have credibility, stuff like that. But the point is, it's just to promote or showcase your product in a way that resonates with your ideal customer.
Yep.
100%. Cool.
Dude, let's see what the below the fold looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have logos from the same magazines from before, but again, right after that, they go into more social proof. They go into more of just showcasing exactly what they're trying to sell, which is, well, in this one here, they're targeting fine lines and wrinkles, right? Showing that same before and after, but then they even take it further by leveraging clinical trials. And a lot of times brands use like customer surveys if they don't have clinical trials, but this brand is just so on point and so fire that they actually have clinical studies to leverage. But just providing numbers, like, is something I'm sure this is like another psychological thing where having numbers, having statistics just makes whatever you're saying more real. So just providing some sort of stat of smoother facial lines, and then just going deeper with literally just communicating exactly what these women are looking for.
Dude, I mean, like, if you're a skincare company and you can afford to run clinical trials, and also refine your product to be successful in clinical trials, because like those are two different things. Just gonna call it out. Just gonna be honest with y'all. Like, being able to run a clinical trial, but also like being effective in clinical trials are two separate things. But if you can do that, it's actually like huge. Like the company that I mentioned earlier that I worked on, where I learned decolletage, they invested so much money in clinical trials and being effective in those, and making sure their product withstood that test. And that is like the most, like, for something like this, like a huge credibility booster. If people, like women especially, like that's largely who's being targeted here. This is the most competitive category, really, in e-com, that I would say, or in my opinion, I think it's probably one of the most competitive categories outside of clothing, probably. And it's so easy because it's so easy. Like, it's not that hard to start a skincare company. I've actually done it before, and like I was surprised at how simple it was. Like, private label stuff, but like getting to the point where you have clinical trials and you have all of this data and you have these before and afters that are valid before and afters. Because if it's not valid, you can get sued. Like, it is a violation of federal laws on like what you can and can't say. And so there's a ton of stuff here that they're doing well, and they have the data to back it up, and that's a huge competitive advantage. So if you can pull that off, I highly recommend you do so. It's worth the investment, because it's building a moat around your business. It's defensibility.
Yep. Exactly. To add to your point, is because it's really easy for brands to say the same thing, but once you actually have the backing of the trials, or like studies or just stuff like that, just having the backing to at least have the support to actually support the claims that you're making, right? Yep. Because it's really easy for any skincare brand to say, yeah, we reduce acne, prevent future breakouts, but not everyone has the before and afters for the customers. Not everyone has the clinical studies and the actual reviews. So if you are able to get that, it's such a huge level up, or a step up, just to add that competitive edge. And then the next sections really just focus, again, just to kind of overview the entire PDP, the product page, is a lot of it is based around social proof and just credibility of just proving the claims that you're claiming, right? Just really leveraging the endorsements, the sponsors, or the people that back up and co-sign your brand is so important. So in this case, they have those two dermatologists. They have that same video there, but they also add to it by providing some testimonial from them for people who don't want to sit and watch the video. So they pretty much have content for both people, type of people who want to read it or watch it, or both. And again, just leveraging that credibility, and then just really proving the point that the things that we say that we're doing, the claims that we're making, the value props that we're saying that you will benefit from or will experience, is something that we actually can prove, and we have the backing of people who have that credibility.
This is that video. I mean, I think this content should be next to or right below the hero or like the credibility section on the homepage.
Homepage right here, right?
Yeah, right here. Like, that's this is the exact content that we wanted there. Like, I think it's pretty goated. And of course, I love these like reviews that they're all videos. I think it's really cool that all these reviews have videos. This is a really well done page. Like, I don't have too many. I really don't have any notes here. Like, this is just really well done.
Because right after that, again, they have more customer reviews. So it's literally like, at this point, it's almost undeniable. Like, so someone who's looking for this type of product, at this point, you're almost like, it's almost stupid for me not to at least try it, right? Because they do have these value props there. I'm not sure if they have sort of like guarantees, but even with that one, like, at this point, they have so much social proof from all these customer reviews, but the credibility from the dermatologist and all these videos here. Like, if someone to spend 5 minutes on this page, the more time you spend, the more you're going to be sold on it. So it just comes down to just piling and then just doubling down, tripling down on all the social proof and just making it as convincing as possible.
I like this section here. My only take is that this section should be higher up on the page. Like, and maybe they've already tested this, but if I were to run a test, I would actually just reorder the sections and get this, not the reviews, but like the Qure's LED light therapy mask, like just explaining what it is. Like, put that right below the fold, and then all the other content in the order that it's been in. Because like this kind of stuff is like helpful for people to get a little bit more context on what the heck they're even trying to buy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think this is a really, like, they put some thought into this, and I'm very impressed by the level of quality of this product page.
Yeah, I mean, and even to your point, because how they structure mobile is they have tabs right here. So something worth testing is having maybe either a fourth tab or just testing having those I guess maybe it is the educational pieces of it, of just more on the top fold, of really making sure that people understand the product before getting into all like the videos, images, and stuff like that, just to make sure that people do understand it. But again, I'm sure that they have tested it, but it is something, if they haven't tested, that is something, just like a quick idea of making sure that in the top section, people understand the product and exactly what it does. Then from there, you can prove it with those social proof, credibility, all that stuff that they have there. And this is just another section just to dive deeper into the specifics of the product, right? The specifications, I guess and after that they talk about like how to use it. But even before that, they have even more videos. It looks like they even have an app. So it's like, this brand is just so on point with pretty much everything that they're communicating. I'm not sure if you have anything to add here, Sanjay.
No, dude, I'm just so impressed. Like, really, like, so often I come into these and they have a comparison chart. Like, what else am I supposed to say here? Like, again, like, so often we come into these and we have to, like, give so much advice. But if you, like, I'm sure, I know you've seen it, but, like, we've got, like, our like, guide on, like, what makes a great landing page. And there's, like, 6 key elements. And this has, like, all of that in every permutation. Like, FAQs, comparison chart, here's what you get, like, here's why. It's so good, dude. This is such a beautifully done landing page. I do think the floating add to bag button's pretty funny. Like, I think it's interesting how small it is. Does that just scroll to the buy box?
I'm not a fan of how close it is to the chat. It could just be on my computer, but it does not look like it's clickable. So.
Oh, interesting. And on desktop, it's actually like totally on the other side. It doesn't seem very functional, intuitive. I don't know.
It's kind of hiding there a little bit. And even on desktop, like you're saying, it doesn't seem like it is. But even, so I guess like that is one thing to improve upon, just making this button a little more visible, and then actually functional, where it either can scroll back up to the buy box or go straight into the cart and then initiate the checkout process.
We're coming up on time, so like if you were to give 2 things that you would do, what would those 2 things be?
For this brand right here?
Yeah.
Oh man. If I had to, so the first thing, because it's just the easy answer, is something that I mentioned before, of just at least being a little more educational up top. Again, I'm sure there's something that they might have tested, but testing another tab or replacing one of these tabs with something that's more educational, or even just combining the product section here of maybe adding product images, like a third or fourth product image that at least talks about some of the key value props that are listed further down the page, just making sure that is dialed in. And the second one, which is the easy answer, is that add to bag, this sticky button there. And maybe, honestly, it's just being a little less text heavy. I'm not sure if, like, even like the how to use section, just being a little more simple with that. That's like one small thing, but in my opinion, like this page is an absolute masterclass with exactly communicating what they need to, being really dialed in on proving the claims that they're making with the social proof, the credibility aspect of things. So there really isn't much as far as like, this is like the one thing that's like stopping them from like blowing up. I'm curious your thoughts, Sanjay.
Yeah, I mean, I would do what you did. My only adjustments would be on mobile. I would compress the space in between elements on the hero section, specifically so that you can try to get more stuff. Like, it'd be nice if you could like reduce the white space in between a lot of these elements, just enough to where you could probably get the add to cart button, or even like the sold out button above the fold.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of like unit, like piece one. The second thing that I would test is I would reorder some of the content. So like to how, you said, add it to the carousel up top or add another tab. I would just move some of the what you get above, then have the reviews, then probably like here's how you use it, then the FAQs. Like that's probably like how I would like kind of rearrange some of the sections. But it's really hard for me to like say that they're not doing anything bad here. It's like like this is true like optimization work. A lot of times the optimization work that we're doing is actually getting brands to the start line of like actually being effective, like getting them to have these elements. And Jeff and I do this together on a weekly basis, like getting brands to kind of get to this level of quality. Once we get there, we actually do real optimization work, which is like rearranging sections and doing the tests and like, adjusting headlines and things like that. That's like the fun, easy stuff. The hard stuff is getting to this level of quality. So shout out to Qure Skincare, shout out to that whole team. Shout out Christina, who runs Qure, like absolutely, killed it. Well done. And Jeff, shout out to you, brother. This is actually a lot of fun. I enjoy yapping with you, and I know we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, appreciate you having me. And the next one, I want to show an example of like a before and after of exactly what Sanjay was talking about, of just getting brands to that starting point where you can make those further observations. So in the next I guess episode of this, I want to show a quick before and after of a homepage and product page for a brand where we helped kind of just help them kind of dial in the things that we talked about in this episode here, and then I will get rocking in the next one.
I'm going to grill you on exactly how you think about everything. There's
right,
a lot of stuff that we haven't talked about.
Yep.
So I'm going to use that space to really grill you on that. But dude, thank you, man. Wait. This is awesome. Yep. Stoked for it. Stoked for this one. And I'll talk to you soon. Everybody who's watching, we shall catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and keep building on Replo.